Welcome to Fun Facts Daily, your source for just the good stuff. Monday through Friday, we're bringing fun facts and news you can use, all carefully curated to uplift and inform. So give yourself a break, relax, and learn something awesome in just a few minutes every day. Hi everyone, I'm Kyle Wood, and today we're going to be learning all about Neuschwanstein Castle. But before we get into the facts, let's warm up our brains with a little challenge to see if you can tell fact from fiction. Consider this. King Ludwig II spent a fortune constructing his mountain palace in the Alps. The project became an obsession for the final years of his life, but rumor has it, before his death, the king actually issued a mandate to destroy the entire building with explosives. They say he would rather demolish the structure than allow the public to walk through his private sanctuary. What do you think? Did the king actually order the destruction of his own castle? We'll find out at the end of the episode. Now for your word of the day. Our word for today is anachronism. That's ANACHRONISM. An anachronism is a thing that belongs in a period other than the thing in which it exists. People often use the term anachronism when describing something that appears out of place in a specific historical timeline. For example, if you're watching a movie set in the 1700s and then all of a sudden you see a character wearing a digital watch, that would be an anachronism. Recognizing anachronisms helps historians verify the authenticity of documents and artifacts. The word anachronism comes from Greek. It combines the roots ana, meaning backward, and chronos, meaning time. English speakers began using the term in the middle of the 17th century to describe chronological inconsistencies in literature. In the context of Neuschwanstein Castle, the building itself functions as an architectural anachronism. King Ludwig II used 19th century industrial technology to build it, but he designed the structure to look like it came from the 13th century. Time for your daily high five, our top 5 fun facts about Neuschwanstein Castle. Number 1. Walt Disney used Neuschwanstein Castle as the primary inspiration for Sleeping Beauty's castle in Disneyland. Walt Disney visited Neuschwanstein Castle during a European vacation in the 1930s. He took note of the building's cylindrical towers, limestone facades, and elevated position on a rocky crag. Decades later, Disney instructed his employees to use these architectural elements when designing the centerpiece of his California theme park. The designers examined blueprints and photographs of the Bavarian landmark, studying its proportions. The influence of Neuschwanstein goes beyond Disney parks. The corporate logo seen before Disney films has a stylized castle that borrows from the Bavarian structure's multi-tiered design. Animators also referenced Neuschwanstein when drawing Cinderella's castle for the 1950 animated film. This connection turned an obscure German palace into the global standard for fairy tale castles. Number 2. Neuschwanstein Castle was more technologically advanced than it appears. Construction on the castle began in 1869 during the height of the Industrial Revolution. King Ludwig II insisted on incorporating modern conveniences for his private residence. The building had a battery-powered bell system allowing the king to summon servants from anywhere in the complex. Telephone lines were installed on the 3rd and 4th floors, and these were among the first telephone connections in the region. Engineers also equipped the castle with flushing toilets and a central heating system powered by a basement furnace. The construction itself relied on industrial machinery. Workers used steam-powered cranes to lift limestone blocks up the mountain incline. A dedicated steam engine operated continuously to power the pulley systems and transport materials. So while it looks like it came out of a fairy tale or the Middle Ages, it was purely a modern construction. Number 3. King Ludwig II built the entire castle as a tribute to the operas of the composer Richard Wagner. Ludwig II was Wagner's primary patron, funding the composer's career and saving him from bankruptcy. The king dedicated the design of Neuschwanstein Castle to Wagner's musical works. While most architecture is designed by, architects, the initial sketches for Neuschwanstein were actually crafted by Christian Jank, a theatrical set designer. This gave the building the drama of a stage production rather than a standard royal residence. Inside, there were rooms with murals depicting scenes from Wagner's operas like Tannhäuser and Lohengrin. The Singers' Hall on the fourth floor was built specifically to host performances of Wagner's musical dramas. The castle's name translates to Neuschwanstein, which references the Swan Knight character from the opera Lohengrin. Wagner passed away in 1883 and never got to set foot inside the structure dedicated to his legacy, but Ludwig's obsession with the composer ultimately produced one of the largest monuments to a musician in human history. Number 4. Neuschwanstein Castle is unfinished. Only 14 of its 200 planned rooms were completed before the king's death. King Ludwig II didn't use state funds to build the castle. He used his personal fortune and borrowed a lot. The project suffered a lot of delays due to the logistical challenges of the mountain terrain and the king's numerous design changes. By 1886, creditors threatened to seize the property because Ludwig had amassed debts exceeding 14 million marks. The Bavarian government later declared the king legally insane and deposed him. They took him off the throne. Ludwig died under mysterious circumstances just days later, immediately halting construction on the castle. When the work stopped in 1886, builders had finished just a fraction of the plans. The second floor, which was meant to house guest rooms and administrative offices, remains a bare brick shell even today. A 90-meter keep was planned for the upper courtyard, but never constructed. In order to pay off the debts for what had been built, the state actually decided to open up the incomplete building to paying tourists. And our fifth and final fun fact for today. During World War II, Neuschwanstein Castle was used as a secret storage facility for stolen art. The Eisenstab Reichsleiter Rosenberg, a Nazi organization tasked with looting cultural property, commandeered the castle in 1940. The remote location in the Bavarian Alps provided a hiding place away from Allied bombing targets in cities. Nazi officials filled the unfinished rooms with thousands of paintings, sculptures, and furniture pieces stolen from collections in France. Curators kept photographic records of the looted items, storing their catalogs right there in the castle walls. As the war ended in 1945, the Allied Monuments Men Division discovered the stash hidden inside the castle. The recovery team also found 39 photo albums documenting the scale of the theft and providing evidence for post-war trials. Soldiers spent 6 weeks removing the art and transporting it to a centralized collecting point in Munich. The operation was difficult, requiring special rigging equipment to lower crates down the mountain roads. Because the castle survived the war undamaged, though, investigators were able to successfully return thousands of artworks to their rightful owners. Now for some news you can use. If you plan to visit Neuschwanstein Castle, you've got to get your tickets online several months in advance. The castle receives over 1.4 million visitors every year, and daily admission limits cause walk-up tickets to sell out before noon. Access to the interior is strictly limited to 35-minute guided tours with specific entry times. You can't explore the rooms on your own, and missing your designated tour time means forfeiting your ticket. Plan ahead so you can get your spot and don't end up traveling to the Alps only to be turned away at the door. When you visit, wear sturdy walking shoes and be prepared for a steep, uphill hike. The ticket center is located in the village of Hohenschwangau, and the walk to the castle takes about 40 minutes on an inclined road. While there are shuttle buses nearby, they drop passengers still a bit of a distance away from the ultimate destination. So even if you take that transportation, you can still expect about a 15-minute walk up to the entrance. While photography is strictly prohibited inside the castle to keep the tour groups moving efficiently, you can take photographs outside from Marienbrücke, a nearby bridge with a beautiful panoramic view of Neuschwanstein Castle. Finally, the moment you've been waiting for. At the beginning of the episode, I asked, would King Ludwig II really have ordered Neuschwanstein Castle to have been blown up with explosives just to keep the public out? Believe it or not, that's a fact. King Ludwig designed the castle as a private refuge and said the site should be destroyed rather than profaned by the gaze of the public. Before his sudden death in 1886, he gave strict orders to have the structure blown up if he died. The Bavarian government ignored this command and opened the castle to paying visitors just 7 weeks after his passing to recoup the construction debts. The entrance fees collected from the initial waves of tourists went directly to paying the 14 million marks owed to the king's creditors. By 1899, the state had successfully cleared the entire debt using just the revenue generated by ticket sales. Today, the building accommodates up to 6,000 guests a day during the summer, so ironically, the king's private, isolated sanctuary is now one of the most heavily trafficked tourist destinations in Germany. Now, I hope you enjoyed learning a bit about Neuschwanstein Castle with me today. Be sure to tune in every weekday for even more fun facts. Fun Facts Daily is an Airwave Media podcast. It was written, recorded, mixed, and edited by me, Kyle Wood. Thanks for sharing a part of your day with me. Be sure to follow Fun Facts Daily on your favorite podcast app so you can keep the good stuff coming your way every day. And if you like the show, please do me a favor and leave a kind rating, review, or just tell your friends about it.